And of course, Chelsea in the news because of Abramovich. Abramovich sanctioned over links to Putin. The sale of the club's on hold. There's even talk of Chelsea's rivals now eyeing up unsettled players. Shirt sponsorship suspending deals worth millions. I mean, it's all going on out there. And then last night, Chelsea go to Norwich. And then we heard some of this. So some of those travelling Chelsea fans singing the name of the outgoing Roman Abramovich. So Henry Winter, Martin Henry Winter in the Times this morning, chief football writer, in his intro to his piece, given the enormity of events in Ukraine, it was crass in the extreme to hear Chelsea fans relentlessly celebrating Abramovich, their shamed, sanctioned owner, linked by the UK government to Vladimir Putin, who wages war on an innocent country. What do you think this was, Simon? Tribalism, ignorance, arrogance, defiance, or the lot?
I think it's a combination of all of the above. I think we also must be clear that it's a minority of Chelsea fans operating there. I listened to David Mellor, who is a stalwart Chelsea fan talking about it on Newsnight last night, about the fact that he found it almost incomprehensible that a group of people had the moronic outlook to travel to Norwich to be able to recite that in the climate that we're in. Roman Abramovich, of course, denies any influence or relationship with Putin, but I think the evidence is irrefutable that he does have a relationship with Putin, that he has prospered under the Putin regime, and he does have businesses that can be linked to situations like the manufacture of tanks in his country. So all of those put him into a situation where he's fair game. He's fair game for what the government have done. And with that in mind, it is deeply insensitive, inappropriate, and bordering upon imbecilic conduct to want to celebrate someone. I know why you want to celebrate him, because in pure football terms, he's elevated Chelsea to a position that they would never have gotten to without his money. But there's something wrong if you take away the reflection back of what's happening currently in Europe and what's happening to people in the Ukraine, and feel any validation or any necessity to want to celebrate that owner.
So we have to give them a false pardon, do we? From their behaviour last night?
No,
these Chelsea
I think
fans?
we have to call them out for being bloody
moronic.
idiots.
Yeah.
Ill-informed.
I think they're perfectly informed. I think they're ignorant.
They know what they're doing, Martin.
And disrespectful.
Why are they chanting his name? At
No,
this particular
I think it's
time,
a
why are
disgrace.
they chanting his name?
I think it's an absolute disgrace when you see what's happening around the world, and
yeah,
you know, the last atrocities, that maternity ward that was, you know, bombed. Unbelievable what we're seeing, shocking sights we're seeing around the world.
I mean, Henry Winter goes on. It was tasteless for Chelsea fans to salute an owner accused by the government of ownership of a company supplying steel to the Russian military, which may have been used in the production of tanks.
That's right, and that's been out there. That
news
has been out there for quite a while now. So, you know, it's about time these Chelsea fans grew up and showed a little bit more respect when they go to these games.
But they know what they're doing, don't they?
I know, and I don't want to be off-piece, but we do have to compensate the culture of football and put taste into the middle of it and say, when do we think that taste exists? You know, we have other ownership models in the Premier League that do not pass a sniff test, that could find themselves in the same sort of situation. We have Chinese ownership models with Chinese state committing genocide on Uyghur Muslims. We've got Middle Eastern ownership that are dropping bombs on Yemen. So we do have to be careful about how we point our finger ostensibly at one football club. But given the circumstances, it is deeply, deeply inappropriate and unnecessary, and reflecting incredibly poorly on Chelsea Football Club that a minority of silly fans would want to go away to Norwich City and chant.
But they've been asked by their own manager,
and
you have to not to chant those things. And I actually would like to say what an ambassador he has been for the football club. He's up front and centre. There's no real representation within the club. He's out there explaining himself, answering very difficult questions in the media, and at the same time, by the way, doing a really good job on the pitch, trying to keep his team focused on winning games of football.
I mean, actually, Martin, that's a very good point you make, and it's a very timely point. At a time, Simon, that others at Chelsea remain silent on this situation. Tuchel, contractually, obviously, has got to speak, and this was him last night.
Yeah, it's of course another level of distraction and another level of impact that it has to us, but still we said we cannot influence it. Maybe we don't know all the facts. Maybe the facts will change again tomorrow or in 2 days. So why to worry too much about it? Because nothing we can do will change the situation. let's see if it stays like this. Who knows? I don't know. And so we take it, honestly, we take it day by day. I didn't see that coming yesterday. So I don't know what's coming tomorrow. And everybody can be very sure that we focus on us, and we focus to keep the mentality and the attitude right in our training ground and within the team. And so far we can trust each other, and this will not change as long as we have enough shirts, and as long as we have a bus to drive to the games, we will be there and we will compete hard.
To be fair, Simon, what more can he say?
No, he can't say a lot more, and I thought it was very unfair, some of the questions he was asked last week, and I thought he was absolutely right to spontaneously combust and say, look, I'm not a bloody politician, stop asking me these questions, I can't answer them.
Yeah, but he's bound to be asked when others are silent.
Well, of course he is. And
the questions are right.
And I think it's entirely appropriate that on the pitch, the players don't compound the problem around Chelsea by not performing on the pitch, because they are employed by Chelsea Football Club. The ownership model has put them in a position where they've been very well rewarded over the years. They've been given huge opportunities because of people like Roman Abramovich. We argue about the model of how these people come into football, and I think it's entirely flawed. But the players don't need to compound the problem by suddenly using what's going off the pitch as an excuse not to perform on the pitch. They need to concentrate on their job, because they're not overly adversely affected. They will have opportunities to be able to change the direction of travel. If they leave Chelsea Football Club, none of them are going to the poorhouse. At this moment in time, their job is to focus on what's in front of them. If they want to represent Chelsea Football Club and the fans that are behaving properly and not the minority that think it's funny to see what happened last weekend, get vilified last week and then repeat it this week, because it's not about not being aware of the climate. It's not about ill-informed. They saw the reaction last week through the British media and through other fans and through everywhere that reacted to Chelsea fans doing what they did last week at Burnley. They've now done it again this week. It's a matter of defiance and ignorance. Yeah. So the Chelsea players just need to double down, focus on being successful on the pitch, and the rest of it will eventually take care of itself.
I mean, I think Simon's spot on. And as a former player yourself, Martin, presumably you would do exactly that if you were a Chelsea player right now.
I think they've been tremendously professional. They get on with the job. They had a tricky tie against Luton where it looked like maybe it was affecting them when the news first broke. They managed to battle their way back in. They're now 8 points clear in third position. They just get on with the job. And if they're, okay, this is massive change, but they are used to change at that football club. It's been, quite a ruthless dressing room in terms of management that's come in and out. But I do feel this is a manager they need to hold on to. For whatever's going to come next, this manager needs to stay in charge. I think he's done an amazing job of holding it together, keeping the results and keeping them focused. On the backdrop is really difficult when, your owner's gone, that sugar daddy, that person that came in, that financial doping, as it was called, when they first came in. You think of the trophies that they've won with that financial muscle they've had behind them, and now it's gone.
I know. And again, Simon, I said it yesterday, these are the club world champions we're talking about.
Yeah, in the here and now, that's all background noise, Martin, because the players aren't being adversely affected. Their salaries are still being paid. The team can't be changed anyway because the transfer window is closed. They're still in situ of a very powerful football squad that's been heavily invested in. That investment's not going to be taken away today. So the players, the clue is in the title, the players are professional footballers. It's entirely incumbent upon them to retain their professionalism and not to use what's going outside the training ground as an excuse not to perform on the pitch, which football players often do. Most football players couldn't give a monkeys about who their owner is, couldn't care less about what's going on outside of their little world. What they want to do is make sure that they're being rewarded for what they do. So they have to double down and focus on what they're doing. Well, Thomas Tuchel's the one that's got the challenge, because he's the one that's standing in front of the media on a daily basis, answering questions that he cannot answer because he's not equipped to do it.
No, and he also needs a quick solution, doesn't he? The ownership has to be resolved.
Yeah,
so that they can trade in a correct manner.
If you think Bruce Park or any of these people that come and speak, you can think again. Yeah. They've got nothing to say. What can they say? What can they possibly say to the world's media? We've worked for a guy that's now being alleged is part of a murderous regime that's been sanctioned. What can they say to the world's media? They won't come and front up.
No. Stay with us. A lot more other than Chelsea to talk about, but obviously this dominates the news. 10:30.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.